You're listening to the Influential Conversations podcast with the property management coach and industry influence of the year, Kirk, Stafford, and guests. Well, g'day again, and welcome to what is going to be the final in this season of Influential Conversations. And I thought it appropriate that for the final, I'd introduce you to someone you may already know. It's a guy who I've got to know pretty well over the last 3 or 4 years. Probably one of the nicest guys in the industry. Yes, he paid me for that comment. He is a consultant, a thought leader. He is the president of the REIQ at the moment. His name is Peter Brewer. He's known also as that Peter Brewer. Peter, welcome to Influential Conversations, and thank you so very, very much for your time for this final in the season.
Kirk, can I just say it's an honour for you to have me.
Yeah, that's what I say. The pleasure's all yours, isn't it? Yeah, thanks very much.
Out all of the introductions I've had, that is without question the most recent. So, mate, it's an absolute honour. And thank you. I'd love to spend a bit of time just shooting the breeze and talking about what a couple of old farts would talk about when they get together with exactly a passion for property.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. I think we do share that passion. I think we've both been around since, well, and I keep saying since dinosaurs roamed the earth, and you had a couple of years on me. So that makes us. Does it make us old?
Oh, no. I think it makes us wise. We've got so much to share, even though people think we might think we're crusty old farts. We've been around the block a few times, and I think we know some stuff. And when people kind of tap us on the shoulder, I think blokes like you and I love to share our wisdom. And quite often it's pretty valuable stuff if people want to take some notice.
Well, yeah, if they want to listen, yeah. And that's just it. I think people, when they ask, they do want to listen. That's the trick of it, because it's rare that people will actually approach you for some advice and then disregard it, or you would hope they're not going to disregard it, because it's your time, it's my time, it's their time, that everybody's invested in that conversation. Pete, let's go back to when you started, which was just a few years ago. How did you get into real estate?
Oh, how did I get into real estate? Well, the year was, I was going to say 1882. No, it was about 1982. And my family had always been involved in the real estate industry, or for many years had been involved in the real estate industry. And so, like many families, it was inevitable I'd be involved somewhere or other. But I decided in 1982 I wasn't going to just jump into the family business. I went and cut my teeth with one of my dad's competitors in an adjoining area, and it was just awesome, and I learnt so much selling both land on the mainland and then all as well across on the Bay Islands of Moreton Bay, and so that gave me so much learning. I used to go down to an office called REIQ Capella on a Tuesday and a Thursday night as part of my learning. And I used to take down a carton of beer and a couple of pizzas, and I'd sit there and watch these four guys do their vendor feedback calls of 400 listings every Tuesday and Thursday night. And it taught me
400 listings.
400 listings. It was a REIQ office at Capella at the time. And for them, it was all about managing sellers' expectations, which back in the mid-'80s was really, really important, because you just had that volume of stock. And so I learned from the absolute best. And it's funny, Kurt, because I thought, okay, I've done my apprenticeship with this other office. I should go and talk to Dad and see if there's an opportunity. So Dad said, yes. Mind you, I was living at home. Dad said, yes, you can come for an interview. And I said, that's awesome. So I went for this interview with my father, and he asked all the interview questions. And then he said, okay, look, here's an application form. Fill it in and just go off to the side room, do that. And then give me a call tomorrow and I'll let you know how you went with your interview. Cool. So I filled in this form and I rang him the next day and I said, how did I go? He said, well, look, if you'd actually paid some attention, you would have seen there was a reverse to that form and it asked for 3 references. And you haven't given me those 3 references. So he said, you'll need to come back, write down the name of those 3 references. And for him, that was about making sure that I dotted the I's, crossed the T's. It was one of the best lessons I've learned coming to the business. Yep. And he wanted to demonstrate to the rest of the team that you just don't walk in and get a gig here. And
that's a lesson in detail, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it makes you think about that as you go through. You can't. It'll bring you unstuck. What was interesting about those times, Kirk, and you may have seen, I posted about it recently. When I started in 81, 82, I was looking at my old business card that didn't have a mobile phone on it. It didn't have a fax on it. It didn't have an email address on it. It didn't have a website on it. There was an office phone number and an address. That was it.
And it didn't have our photos on them either back then. We didn't have our photos on the cards.
Yeah. But somehow or other, I managed to survive with started with about 20 5x3 cards in a database that became probably 500 or 600 5x3 cards. And I would start at A and ring through to Z and then go back to A again, just trying to build that database of clients. No such things as CRMs or websites. But we managed to survive because business was about personal interaction. So it was really interesting times.
Yeah, exactly. And that's still key. Really, when you consider all the advances that we've had since then, that we've gone from, as and I was the same, I started in sales as well, and I started by the little 5x3 index cards, and they were all alphabetized, and you wrote a little note as to the date that you contacted them and a couple of keywords as to what you spoke about. But with all the advances in technology now, I mean, the only thing that's not done for us is the calls being made. But who knows, that might be the future. But one key,
there is AI that does that. There's some really cool systems that do that. But ultimately, people buy people. That's where the business is. I sat with a guy recently, Kirk, in an office, and I said, we need to make some calls. This is all about communication. Well, he had the most spectacular Excel spreadsheet with everyone's name, their email address, their telephone number, the address of the property. He sorted that. He put it in different formats. He had the do not call. Everything was there. And that took about 1 hour and 45 minutes of the 2 hours we'd put aside for calls. And we got to the last 15 minutes. I said, we're actually going to pick up the phone and ring anyone? Oh, no, nobody's. Haven't got time for that. No, time's run out. Gone. Just pick up the phone.
Yep, that's right. Exactly. The majority of our problems would be resolved very quickly if that's what we did.
Yeah.
There's a great positive, there's a great negative to the amount of technology we've got around at the moment. And I'm going for mobiles with text messaging and WhatsApping and Facebook messaging, all those, but also the CRMs and everything else. It makes it very easy to keep in touch, but it doesn't give us time to build the relationship, because the relationship can really only be built by hearing someone's tone of voice, by hearing the inflections, by working out whether they're upset, what they're upset about. Or working out whether they've had a good day and what you can do to add to that.
Yeah, 100%. That's my view. And I think we should, we absolutely share that. It's about people. It's about relationships. It's about trust. It's about, people are handing us the keys to their single biggest asset. They want to know there's actually a person there. We're not some dodgy bastard. Yeah, so. That's right. Yeah. So how did you go? I mean, from sales to property management, what led you into the realm of property management? Was it owning your own office? Yeah, it was. Yeah. We the office, it was Dad's office. I bought in 91, I think 92, something like that. It was funny because he said, I'm going to sell a business, and I went, holy shit, I can't work for anyone. And so down I toddled to the Commonwealth Bank at Manly and borrowed $100,000 or something or other, and handed over a check, and all of a sudden I'm instant real estate principal who knew lots about sales but not a lot about property management. So that became a very fast learning curve to understand the nuances between both and the importance of property management in that business. It became a real focus to grow that rent roll to a significant size. And it was funny, I went to a lot of Robert Bevan's training back in those days, and I don't think Robert trains anymore. But again, this is kind of how blind I was at the time, and gullible's the wrong word, but I went to a Robert Bevan training session, and the commissions our office were charging at the time was 7.5% plus GST, but in fact there wasn't even a GST. I think we had 7.5%, and postage and pennies, maybe $3 or $4. And Robert talked about, you really need to increase your fees and get your income up. And I'm sitting there going, oh, we should do that. And he said, I've created this template letter. You just send this to your landlords and say, due to insurance costs and costs of running businesses, you're increasing your fee by 2.5% to 10%. And I went, that's fine. So I blindly came back, and we sent that letter off to all of our owners just to say, because of all these additional costs, our fees going, increased by 2.5%. And I got a phone call, let's say at that stage to 100 odd owners. And I got a phone call from one of the owners to say, you realise that's not 2.5%, you realise that's more like 25%. Or And I went, I hadn't thought of it that way.
That's right. Yeah. Our income. Yeah, that's right. And this is what we don't understand. We don't look at when we're and the big talk at the moment is discounting fees, because there's such a blight. And you say, I've had people say, it's only 1%. You say, no, well, actually, if you go from 7% to 6%, that's 1/7 of your income. That's 16% or 15% of your income you've just given away.
Mm-hmm. And it's great. And we've got to stop that. We've got to stop being so prepared to hand it away when we look at the way costs are increasing, the way we need to remunerate and reward the good people we've got doing the job. Yep. That's got to change. And so it was fascinating because of those 100-odd letters that went, I think we lost maybe 4 people. Mm-hmm. And we'd increased our income by 25%. And I'm going, this is kind of pretty good. And what was fascinating at the same time, my single biggest competitor had reduced their fees to 5%. So I've gone to 10, they've gone to 5, and I'm thinking, what have I done? And what have I done? Paid all this money for this asset. But as I said, we lost 4 properties, and we continued to grow because we were confident about our product. We had good people, and we grew and grew and grew. It became a real focus for me just to do that and do that well, where so many of the other sales-based businesses in my market were focused just on sales. And I went, no, I've got to grow this asset. And it was fascinating when we grew, and I bought another rent roll as well, how we went from profit mode to super profit mode, with little or extra overheads, but just with some good stock, some other good managements on board. So, so that became a focus and really helpful, because that allowed me in 2008 to say, I'm going to put my feet up, spend my ill-gotten gains, sell the business, and lie on the beaches of the world with oceans of money washing over my glorious body.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, not so.
15 years on. Are you still not working, Peter? You're still lying on that beach?
Anyway, so the concept was good, but so that was the focus for me. That's where I said, that's where there's some serious money, and we need to look after those property management people well. Like I always look at it in sales, I think we wake up unemployed every day. We're going to go and chase the business. Property management, it's there. And if you look after your clients and provide great relationships and show them how to create wealth, then, that money's there. For long as you want.
Yeah, and you're right, but it all does come down to that relationship, and it's about being in touch with the client, and not through one of these things. It's they're great for a quick message, but have a conversation. I've resolved problems in offices, and I've probably done it 3 or 4 times, gone into offices and rescued either portfolios or a whole department. And I've done it by having conversations, or take them out for a coffee. If there's a problem, meet someone face to face. They'll be angry for 3 minutes, and then you can start saying, okay, well, that's all that out of the way. Now let's work out how we're going to resolve this.
Kirk,
let's chart the path forward.
Yep. One of the owners that I had of properties, I had 23 properties. He was a dentist, lived in the Blue Mountains, and we were up in Brisbane, and I said, so we sold the business, and therefore 23 of his properties were going across to the buyer, and which meant in that stage I had to get new agreements. And a couple of people said, "You're just going to post them away." I went, "I'm not going to post them away, because every one of those was worth about $5,000. It's $115,000." And so, I got a $99 fare through, I don't know, Compass Airways or whatever it was at the time, and flew down, hired a car, went out to the Blue Mountains, got 23 new authorities signed, and the client appreciated the fact that I valued the business that much that I would go out and see him. For me, it was a $115,000 drive. It was worth the drive and worth the effort to go and maintain the relationship.
Yeah, that's right. Because by doing that, you're actually securing it, and it's that matter of going that extra step that I think most of us probably would have taken the easy way and just gone, oh, look, we'll just use one of the digital signature platforms these days. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, but when you're talking about a chunk of funds that big, well, you want to make sure that you insure it as best you can.
In fact, I was actually sharing this with a story with a young fellow on Saturday night. We were talking about early lessons, and I talked about my dad giving me lessons before about dotting the I's, crossing the T's, putting the references in, all that kind of stuff. And I remember in my early stages, I was selling a property in Rixton Street in Manly West in Brisbane, and it was Saturday afternoon. The house was on the market for $61,000, and an offer came in for $57,000. And I'm, I'm young and naive, and I'm on the phone and I'm ringing this Mr. and Mrs. Richardson. I'm saying, look, just ring to let you know I've got an offer here at $57,000. I know you're asking $61,000. What do you think we should do? And they said, yeah, not for us, Peter. And I put the phone down, and my dad yelled and said, what the you doing? And I said, I'm ringing the Richardsons with an offer. And he said, they are about 1.5 kilometres drive from our office. And you're looking at, let's say it might have been a $6,000 or $7,000 commission. He said, and you're too lazy to get off your ass and drive around the block and sit down and have a conversation with those people. Get in your frigging car and get around there now. And
yes, Dad.
Yes, Dad, absolutely.
Did they take the 57,000 though?
They did.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We sat down, we had a chat, and they went, that makes total sense. But, it's that stuff where it's too easy to flick a text or, or to, all that stuff when,
that's right. And texts are good for, as I said, just a drop and run message. But the hard conversations need to be face-to-face in some way, whether it's over the phone if they're not immediately accessible, or whether you bring whoever it is into the office to have that challenging chat with them, or you do a Zoom call if they're interstate or overseas or something along those lines. So you can actually eyeball them and they can eyeball you and tell you what the real problem is. And you actually get a better conversation, a better outcome.
So much better.
Because the relationship. Yeah.
Text loses context. You're a daughter, I know my Lauren would, she'd get a text message from one of her friends and he'd, and she'd say, see, she's being a bitch to me. And I go, she said hello. Yeah, but it's the way she said hello. I'm going, no, she just said hello. I'm talking about
dots on the screen. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, she just said hello. There wasn't any other thing. So anyway, and we're all potentially guilty of that at various stages. So yeah.
Oh, look, yeah. And because we move so quickly, we do think, I'll just send them a quick text. Whatever it is. I do it with friends. I do it with my daughter. I actually do it with my 89-year-old mother from time to time as well. And she texts back, so she understands the phone. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I also have really long conversations with each of those people that maintains those relationships. But I, try to do that also with clients, not just bounce back and forth with emails, because it at the end of the day, it doesn't resolve anything, and it probably creates a greater challenge than it would otherwise do.
Yeah. 100%. It was an agent up years ago would sit down, Ernie Harrison was his name, and Ernie would say, before he did anything, he'd always sit down and say, what do I want to achieve from this call? And he'd write it down, be really, really clear. And so sometimes, flicking a text to someone is okay, because all you want to achieve is just say, I've flicked you a text in time to say, mate, great interview, good stuff, doing great work, and I know that's just a touch point, Neither of us have probably got time to spend 20 minutes shooting the breeze, because we'd end up spending an hour shooting the breeze. But I just want to get a message to you and let you know, you've written some really good stuff. And then there's other times to say, okay, let's have a deeper conversation. So there's a place for it, but we just got to think about, what do I want to achieve from this?
Exactly. What do you want the outcome to be? Exactly. Yeah. I just want to just touch on challenges in your life and how you've dealt with them, because one of the underpinning themes of this whole series has been trying to give people some pointers on where to go, what to do when they're in a situation where they're challenged. We've all had them. I mean, there's no one who can turn around and say, no, I haven't had challenges in my life. Everything's been, sunshine and rainbows my entire life. Yep. When you found yourself with a personal challenge and you start to flatten out, where do you go? What do you do when you're in that? Because you're a pretty upbeat sort of a guy. Every time I've seen you, you've been really upbeat. But you're not like that all the time. None of us possibly can be, even you. Sorry, mate. Where do you go? Where do you get your inspiration from?
I've got a really good circle of friends. Tara, my partner, my kids are outstanding. People like you, a good circle of people that I can go to with almost anything. And I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but just, so I'm going through one of those spots at the moment. And so I've actually sought some professional help. And I don't want this to be a therapy session, but sometimes you've got to get professional help. My mum passed away in April. We've been very close. And that was hard. She'd had cancer for 3 months, and that was tough. My brother then, 3 weeks after my mother passed away, decided to challenge mum's will, which was devastating and just not what you'd expect. And 3 weeks ago, my brother decided to commit suicide and did so. and left a very shitty video behind. So, those three things, and, I hope that's not triggering for anyone, but it just, I sat back and said, what do I need to do? Because that's hard. It's hard to process that stuff.
That's not just hard, mate. That's bloody tough.
Yeah, that's tough. But I'm fortunate that I've got a really good support network around me who are there to pick me up, who understand there's challenges, who are telling me the things, that I need to do, like, get up, listen to some good podcasts, eat the right food, get out and talk to people. Don't internalize stuff. Find people in your network that you can honestly trust, because we've all got them. And I think that's, there's a wider thing of all of us have got these networks that we don't call on enough if the shit hits the fan. And I know if I had a problem, I could ring you and have a chat to you about it, and vice versa.
Yep, sure.
We'd be under cone of silence and we'd support each other. And sometimes, it's like, are you okay, Dave? None of us know what to say. Well, sometimes it's just to listen, just to listen. And so I don't know whether I'm not sure that I'm giving the right advice there.
No. There's no right or wrong. It's what works for you. That's what the questions sort of, I guess, aim to tease out. Well, but firstly, let me say I'm sorry about your brother. I really am. That's an awful thing. But I think also we all, and you touched on it a minute ago. We've got networks around us that particularly, and I'll tell you who's the worst at it: middle-aged white men. You and I, our demographic. We think we can get through it. It's going to be okay. No, I've got this. I can handle this. But sometimes you just need to say, you know what? I just need a little bit of help. I just need to have someone I can talk to about this.
Yep. Yeah. And there's
one thing. Go on, mate.
No, I was just saying, I was with my stepfather this morning, and he's 88, and he's that tough old Englishman, and he's still devastated by all of this, which everyone is. But he's just going to tough it through. One of his family said recently, he's one of those old Englishmen that only gives affection to horses and dogs, And I was saying this, mate, there is no shame in that game. I went and saw a psychiatrist. I've sat down, had a chat. It was so good just to vent and share, and and I said, you're going to give me tablets. What are you going to do? She said, you know what to do. You need to, surround yourself with good people. You need a really good diet of stuff. You need to read some positive stuff. You need to listen to positive stuff. If music's an important part of your life, then do that. But it's not the same for everyone, but that's what's working for me. But it is, and I see this, I wrote a thing a little while about, I've been through some challenges where I'd got 2 new knees, and I wrote an article about, the 5 things I learnt from double knee replacements. And, one of those things was, the first thing was around expectation, because there's so much expectation in this industry. If you're not earning $1 million, if you're not driving the fanciest BMW, if you're not doing this, if you're not doing that, you're a loser. Well, that's bullshit to me. If you're earning $60,000 and you're smiling, you're happy, and you're looking after your customers, that'll do me. You don't need to be.
That's right. But the sad reality is also, I'll just sort of jump in there. It's not the sad reality. The reality is, this obviously applies more to real estate, to the sales than it does to the property managers. But very, very few of them are earning those big dollars. There would be, I reckon, 5% of 5%. The rest of them are earning a good wage, mostly, hopefully. But I remember seeing a study years ago, and this is when I was chairman of the Real Estate Professionals Property Management Committee down here in Victoria. I remember seeing a stat then from the Pros Group that across Australia, the average real estate salesperson was only earning marginally more than the property managers were.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gloss and there's a lot of facade.
It's a lot of bullshit that goes. And the sad part of that is, Kirk, and in that article I wrote, I gave you the example of a young guy, David John Newlands from the Gold Coast. David was 31, and David passed away in January of 2021, so 2 years back, because the expectations and the pressure of everyone around him were, if you're not writing $1 million, if you haven't got the best BMW, you haven't got this, and David decided the world, that there was another world that, he didn't want to be part of this one, based on all that pressure and bullshit. And that annoys the living crap out of me, because, so many of those wallies that are talking that stuff, and, they wouldn't have two.
Oh, yeah. We've all seen them. We've all seen them. Yep, that's right. And there's some really good ones out there, but there are a lot out there that
100%.
just they're just speaking through their head.
Mate, consumers just want to deal with a real person that gives a shit about solving their problems. That's I don't care about your $500,000 worth of watches and your all the other crap there. I just show me that you give a shit. Show me that you're real.
Yep, and show them you got the solution to what their current need is. Yep, that's all they want. As you said, we're problem solver in chief for their real estate problem. Hopefully we are, but if it's not us, it'll be somebody else in the industry.
That's our job.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, we've been around a lot. We've been around a while. We've seen a lot. What do you reckon the next 3 to 5 years is going to bring? There's a tough question, because if you go back 5 years, if I asked you that question in 2018, because I've had to work out which year we're in, if I asked you in 2018, where do you see yourself in 5 years, I can guarantee you wouldn't say, well, we'll be at the tail end of COVID, this will look, or these are the things that would have happened. Yeah. So there's a lot of crystal ball gazing, but we've had a lot of tech thrown at us in a very short period of time. We're now at the threshold, I think, of what AI is doing, and the big buzz at the moment is around ChatGPT, and I'm just looking at it and I'm just going, this is just mind-boggling, because you're not only dealing with that, you're dealing with the generative AI as well, where you can create images. I'm just looking at that, just going, this is, and I've got a tiny little mind that's blown it. But where do you think we're going to be in, say, 3 or 5 years' time as an industry?
Look, all of that stuff, like that, genuinely excites me. But again, we've got to be careful that we don't embrace that, thinking it's going. You might have heard me talk about this recently. I went to order a banana smoothie recently. I walked up to the counter and I said to the young lady, a banana smoothie with honey, please. She said, no problem. She must hit about 20 different buttons on the keypad, right? There's this, do you want honey? Yeah. Do you want a big one? Yeah. What kind of milk do you want? Yeah. All this stuff. She tapped the button about 20, 25 times. Then she turned around and made the banana smoothie. I'm going, wait a minute. Why? We get so fascinated. Look, and I'm a nerd. Like I love technology and what it can do. But I'll also look at the latest Macquarie benchmarking survey that says that over the last 8 years, even with the advent of some amazing technology in our industry, the number of properties managed per property manager is still sub 150. So we've got inspection apps and virtual tours and the latest consoles or the latest MRIs or the latest whatever it is. But somehow or other, it's not helping us to manage more properties. And so there's a range of reasons. It might be that it's crap tech. I think it's probably not embraced properly. I think two things. I think we are creatures of habit very much. And we say, well, that's all nice that the tech might do that, but I've got my way of doing things. I want my tenants to come to the office, or I want this. So I think we've got to be prepared to accept change. And I think business owners have got to be serious about, if they're going to invest in this stuff, then they've got to be saying to the staff, show me how that's making more money or making you more efficient or making your life better. If it makes the property manager's life better, that's awesome. But I was at an office in Queensland recently where the property managers had convinced the business owner that they needed MailChimp because the sales CRM wasn't good enough for communicating. And I just said, well, that's bullshit. That's so that my response to the business owner is, now they've had it for 3 months. Now get them to explain to you and show you how it's actually generated more efficiency, more money, or a better experience for the customer. So that's a long-winded way of saying the technology is magnificent, but we got to bloody implement it and spend some time making sure it works. Otherwise, it's just another bit of bullshit that's going to baffle our day, and we end up with a dashboard of 20 different things that don't talk to each other, and we're all confused.
Yeah, and that's the big thing there. It's all got to integrate with each other, because it's no good. And look, some of it works really well together, but some of it's still very, very clunky, and you've got to go to this program for that and this program for the other thing, and then sort of try to cut and copy and paste that across into here. What we really need, and I think this is coming. I think there's a couple of the vendors, a couple of the tech vendors that are getting close to it, where everything will integrate, and some of it's going to be generative. It's going to generate its own workflows for us. which I think is going to be great, because it's going to then mean that we can, and we've got a staffing crisis. We know we've got a staffing crisis. So the number of people that we've got to utilise from the population of PMs that are around to manage properties, the number of properties might have shrunk a little bit because of the way that the world's been the last 12 or 18 months. But the number of property managers has shrunk even more. So your pressure on them is actually greater to manage more properties. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of PMs, when you say, you're going to manage more properties, will have a conniption, because they're used to being able to have to do everything. If we can say, yes, okay, we're going to give you an extra 25% of your portfolio, but first we're going to introduce you to these pieces of technology that are actually going to streamline your processes. It may be AI, it may be a VA, it may, there's a whole range of things that it may be that we may not even have thought about at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're going to make your life simpler first and then give you more to do.
You spoke recently about, and I'm paraphrasing, you spoke recently about, franchises, independents, institutes. We've got a role to play in making property management sexy again. So that it is, you talked about, it needs to be a genuine career path for people, that they actually want to do that. But we've actually got to make that happen, and it's got to be. And it's the thing you and I spoke about, and I did a thing recently where, we can't, and I'm going to talk Queensland salaries here. It's very hard to be paying property managers $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year to be chasing a plumber around a leaky tap or a tiler around a chip tile. And that's not a sexy part of the role. And so I think we've got to be really, really clear of the money. If we're going to pay that kind of money for property managers, then give them something that's got some genuine value, so they're not chasing hot water systems or I don't know, that kind of stuff. I can kind of see over the next number of years that we're going to need to, because I think the competition will drive us there. We're going to have to turn some of our property managers into being asset managers, where they actually help people to grow their wealth. And they'll say, look, you've now got another $100,000 equity in this property. Our loan people tell us this. There's an opportunity. Actually be advisors to help people grow their asset rather than just be chasing, leaky taps, broken tiles, and and all the other stuff.
Look, I agree, because we've got to get away from just being reactive, and PM's always been reactive. There's it's not a shameful thing. It's just that's the way that it's evolved. But we need to now, as you said, start to get to that. And you don't even need to bring in financial advice. You can say, well, look, the modelling is that your property's gone up by 12% over the last 3 years. That's going to do this for you. We're going to introduce you to, the loans guy. We're going to introduce you to someone else who's our renovation specialist. We need to become that trusted advisor that I think we all want to be. And there's a perception gap there. I know that, and I think everybody will probably go along with that. But we need to get away from that and start demonstrating that we do have a value to them.
Totally. Imagine if we're ringing one of our owners and saying, Mr. Jones, just want to let you know, I haven't had the opportunity to increase your rent this time round. I oohed and ahed about whether we should ask another $5 or $10, but I just don't think I can get that. However, I've checked, and you're currently paying 4.5% in interest on your property. We've got a guy that's doing loans at 3.9%. That could actually save you around about $154 a month. So, whilst I'm able to get you better rent there, I can save you some money on your loan. Should I get Charlie to give you a call? Like I said, wow, or look, I've been able to shop your insurance around or do whatever. That you're actually looking after stuff rather than putting out bushfires or all the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it is that case that we are so busy putting out bushfires. And if we can take that piece of our role away or minimise it, and that's what these platforms can do. I mean, you take out, we can already take out all our admin. We can already outsource everything from our lease preparation through to our rental disbursements to our owners. Everything in there can be outsourced. The only thing that we can't outsource is our interpersonal relationships. And if all we're doing is managing the relationships, and we've got all the admin taken care of for us, we've got field services officers, for want of a name for them, out doing the inspections. You've got leasing consultants. We've got somebody else who does the ingoing or the outgoing. I still think the PM needs to know the property, so they need to see it. But if you've got someone doing all these out of office things, and all you're doing is managing that relationship, the number of properties, for want of a better word, that you're managing will expand exponentially. But if you're doing all the grunt work as well, you don't get time for the relationship.
And you're right. And it's so many, like, you and I were talking recently about, there was a session we went to in South Australia where one of the presenters got two property managers on stage. One was one of senior years, one was a younger one. He said, start to finish, I want you to write on your respective whiteboard the processes you go through from the point of taking a phone call about renting a property through to the lease, when it's leased. And, the more senior property manager or veteran property manager, take the phone call, book the appointment, go and find the keys, check the keys out, walk to the car, get in the car, drive to the property, put the bin out, open the front gate, turn the fans on, turn the lights on, do whatever. It came up with about 60 steps that she went through from the point of phone call to signing a lease. The other property manager was a young lady, and she put up 3. Send a lease application form, send a link to the virtual tour, send a lease application form, send a tenancy agreement. So he had 60 and she had 3. Now, I'm not saying which one's right, but I reckon there's a mix in there somewhere, because I'm thinking all those, because the reality is through COVID, when we couldn't do all these 60 steps, we were sending virtual.
We're doing the 3. Yeah.
So, why aren't we sitting down to say, right, what did we learn out of that we could apply over to here? So you're right, because we could take out so much of that bureaucratic bullshit that drives everyone crazy that's not really necessary. We're only doing it because that's the way we've always done it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The 9 most dangerous words you'll hear in your business,
Oh, no, the 9 words, they're the death knell, really, of any business. Yeah. But it's interesting because I heard, time's going to get against us, but I heard a very interesting proposition put forward before COVID from someone, I forget who it was now. I think it might have been Sophie Lyon, actually. It was talking about using robots or something along those lines, not conducting virtual inspections, but having meeting people at the property and taking them through with the iPad as your interface, so that they can be guided through the property.
Seen it in action. It's there. It meets them at the door. Hello, welcome. We'll walk you through.
Yeah.
But whether it's the iPad or there's certainly Zillow in the United States now provide a lockbox on the front of the house, and they have security cameras inside. And so they'll say to a prospective buyer or tenant or someone that wants to view the home, here's the code 2468. It's going to work for the next 25 minutes. You can have access to the property. Go and check it out. You can talk to one of our people via phone if need be. Security cameras monitoring, that they're inside, and off they go. No agent, no one's involved in meeting them there. They just, go your merry way, have a look around. Obviously, the people are screened before they go. Sit down and go, is that what I do? Well, probably we're going to see more and more of that stuff,
Yeah, that's right. And maybe not that particular thing, but an iteration of it. But then that, you apply that thinking to other aspects of our role. You think, what else is possible here?
Lots.
You're right. Is the future, and I sort of, you and I talk from the same language here. I think the 3 things that anyone really wants as a client, they want speed, they want simplicity, and they want personalisation. That's it. Really.
You're on it.
Yeah, exactly. And if they can find that some way through the things that we do and the capacities that we have available to us, why are we not implementing them?
People want things faster. They want them simpler. They can't understand why they can go onto walletwizard.com and have $10,000 in their bank this afternoon, but it takes 3 days to get an application processed for a rental property. It doesn't make sense. The technology allows us to personalise experiences for people and make them feel genuinely appreciated. But so many times we miss that opportunity as well. So you're right. I love it, mate. Speed, simplicity, personalisation.
Yep.
Nice.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Well, mate, I think that's probably a good place to wind this up, because we've been going now for a little bit longer than I think I normally would. You and I have a lot of words. So, Peter,
mate,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it, mate. Your time did fly, so I'm sorry about that.
No. Look, truly, there is. I do not apologise, because hopefully someone's listened to the end, and they will get some real benefit out. It just starts people thinking. Really, that's all it's about, and it's just making people aware that they're not alone, and we all suffer. We all need to find ways to overcome our challenges, but start thinking ahead of those and start looking at using your imagination to see where your world's going to end. Peter Brewer from That Peter Brewer. Again, thank you so much, sir, and I will see you very soon, either online or another conference.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you. You're doing good stuff. Great things here, Kirk.
You've been listening to another podcast in the Influential Conversations series. This series is proudly brought to you by Tappy, helping property managers deliver a world-class maintenance experience to their landlords and tenants and providing a total property care solution. Inspection Express, the market leader in property inspection reporting and digital signature property documentation, giving you a seamless approach to the way that you manage properties. And Agent Dynamics, the Australian market-leading team development ecosystem to help you nurture, grow and retain your property teams since 2014. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time for the next in this series.